WWF just got caught putting the con in conservation. While they plaster polar bears all over their fundraising campaigns, pulling in literally millions from people who really care about wildlife, behind closed doors, they've been actively supporting the polar bear fur trade. Yes, you heard that right. The so-called wildlife charity that asks you to adopt a polar bear and tugs at your heartstrings with images of starving polar bear cubs has been helping to facilitate the commercial hunting and sale of polar bear skins. And if that sounds like a shocking betrayal, well, it actually shouldn't be, because WWF has a long, disturbing history of supporting animal cruelty. This is the same WWF that was literally founded by trophy hunters, not animal lovers, but big game enthusiasts who want to protect wildlife just enough so they can keep killing it. Now, one of their founding members, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, was quite widely known to be a proud trophy hunter and spent much of his life gunning down rare and endangered animals. What a great person then to found a wildlife conservation charity. A 1950s book on African safaris even quotes him as saying he would only shoot if an outstanding trophy was found. That's perfectly okay then, as long as the animal's outstanding, kill what you like. And yet this same man helped establish WWF. If that doesn't set off alarm bells, well, I don't really know what will. So let's talk now about what's actually happening today. Polar bears are, of course, on the front line of climate change. Their habitat is disappearing. They're being forced to travel hundreds of miles to try and find food. And in some regions, they're showing declining physical condition as a result. Fewer cubs and shorter lifespans. Yet Canada is still allowing for up to 400 polar bears to be killed every year for their fur. It's disgusting. A full pelt sells for up to $60,000 in places like China, where they're used as rugs or turned into luxury clothing. The rest of the world has quite rightly banned this disgusting trade. Russia, the US, Greenland and Norway all refuse to allow the commercial hunting of polar bears, which is quite right. But Canada, nope. And WWF is actively supporting them. Now, at two separate international meetings, one in 2010 and another in 2013, the US and Russia pushed, quite rightly, for a total ban on the commercial trade of polar bear skins. Now, WWF, well, they had a choice. They could either support the ban and protect polar bears from being hunted and skinned for money, or back the Canadian government and the fur industry. Now, guess which side they took? WWF decided to lobby against the ban. They actively opposed giving polar bears full protection under CITES, which is the international treaty that regulates trade in endangered species. I can hardly believe I'm saying it. Now, WWF's official stance is that trade is not a significant threat and that polar bears haven't yet reached the criteria for full protection. Not yet. I mean, what exactly are WWF waiting for here? Are they waiting for polar bears to just be completely wiped out? Now, recently, WWF has been forced to respond to this scandal following the really brilliant article that was published the other week by The Guardian. Under pressure from Chris Packham and others, they issued this statement. We oppose all unsustainable and illegal hunting, but it's a complex issue. It's always a complex issue, isn't it? We recognise the rights of local and indigenous peoples and the role of animals in their cultures and work with them to ensure this happens sustainably. Sounds like a whole load of rubbish and avoiding the issue to me. Notice how they never actually say they oppose the commercial killing of polar bears. Then when they were actually asked point blank on X, well, what is your stance on polar bear trophy hunting? This is what they had to say. Our position on keeping polar bears on CITES Appendix 2 is founded in science, which tells us that international trade is not currently a major threat to the species. I'll translate this for you. They don't oppose the commercial hunting of polar bears. at all. They could have said, we want an immediate ban on all polar bear hunting for trophies and fur. Or they could very easily have said, we don't support killing polar bears for profit. Not hard. But they didn't. Instead, they defended keeping polar bears in the legal wildlife trade. I just can hardly believe I'm even saying it. This is the WWF we're speaking about. There you go. They could have backed Russia and the US in pushing for full protection. Instead, they protected the commercial trade because their real priority is what they call sustainable use, which, let's face it, is code word for killing animals for money is fine as long as we regulate it. And this isn't just about polar bears either. This is part of a wider pattern here. WWF has repeatedly, for years, lobbied against full protections for other animals too. And that includes elephants, hippos, giraffes, and rhinos. At the 2022 CITES meeting, WWF actually pushed for weaker protections on Namibia's white rhino population, making it easier for trophy hunters to kill them. Now let that sink in. WWF claims to be the world's leading conservation organisation, yet they actively work to keep endangered animals in the crosshairs of hunters and traders because they support what they call sustainable use. That's just a fancy way of saying it's okay to kill wildlife as long as we make some money from it. Well, here's the reality. There is nothing sustainable about killing endangered animals for profit. This is the same old tired excuse that trophy hunters use when they pose with dead lions and call it conservation. The vast majority of wildlife protection groups quite rightly don't support WWF's position here, and for good reason. At the last 4 major CITES meetings, 80 other NGOs fought against WWF's lobbying. 80 groups. So why is WWF then siding with hunters, fur traders, and corrupt governments instead of conservationists? Well, because WWF isn't really about protecting animals. It's a corporate-backed machine that sells conservation as a brand while making deals with the very same industries that destroy wildlife. And they get away with it because most people haven't got a clue about any of this. If you actually care about wildlife, please don't support WWF. They're not what they pretend to be. They raise money off polar bears while supporting their slaughter. They put the con in conservation. Support real wildlife protection groups, ones that actually fight for animals, not ones that sell them out. Don't donate to WWF. Don't buy their endless merch, and don't fall for their adopt an animal scams. Because the truth is, your money might actually be helping them keep the fur trade, the ivory trade, and trophy hunting alive. So finally then, why not share this video too? Help us expose the truth, because the world needs to know that WWF is not this lovely, great conservation charity that they're claiming to be. If you do want to support a group that's doing all it can to end trophy hunting, then the campaign to ban trophy hunting is a brilliant place to start. I'll leave all their details down below.